So once we learned about questions and inquiry, I wanted to get them ready for the sort of subject material that they'd be seeing at Dundurn Castle, which was, how did people live in the 1800s, which they then eventually would compare with the 16 and 1700s. So I know that when you ask such a large general question, they may not know where to start. So I taught them to sort of break down their lives into different arenas, so my personal life, my family, school, and so on, and just start thinking about the kind of things that they think about today, so that when they went to Dundurn Castle, they could see the primary sources that were there, maybe compare them, and start thinking about the same kind of topics that we talked about in the classroom. So what kind of lifestyle did they have? How did they dress? How did their day go? Were they going to school? Were they not going to school? How much work did they have to do? And then all the way up to what concerns did they have in the country? Was the country at war? What kind of issues might have been in the news? What might they have talked about around the dinner table? So we talked about those things.
Okay.
So I'm actually Yay! Hello, good morning. I'm Carolyn.
Single sighting of a ghost in the castle.
Really?
No slamming of doors?
Primary sources is what we're going to be looking at mostly inside the home. And primary sources are what interpreters like Victoria, Philip, and I, Caroline, use. And some of the examples of them: newspapers, diaries, artwork, journal, maps, photographs, paintings. All of these things were done in the moment. It's pretty rare that we have a newspaper that tells us information that happened 3 weeks ago in today's newspaper, right? Newspapers always talk about things in the moment. So primary sources in the moment. They're original. I saw this. Now, are primary sources always accurate? Do we always hear everything that goes on Twitter as true? Did you know Cameron Diaz is pregnant with quadruplets? Just because it's current, just because it's a primary source, doesn't necessarily mean it's accurate. So that's another thing we're going to have you guys thinking about, how accurate these sources were. What are some of the primary sources that scholars in 100 years from now will use to look at our life?
School records.
School records, exactly. Actually, I rarely get someone coming up with that example. That's a fantastic example. You all went to school, you all have school records. What are some other examples?
Diaries.
Diaries, exactly. Anyone have a Facebook page? What about Instagram? Snapchat? I'm really running out of other ideas, but all of these social media ones are great. What are some other examples? Does anyone have any other examples? What about knowing when you were born? Where might they look at that? Birth certificate, or they might look at hospitals, hospital records. So lots of different information that we're going to be looking at to get all of these different topics and all of the different sources. Yeah?
Tax records as well, since we had to do taxes.
Tax records. That is an awesome example. That gives us lots of information. You're going to write about what you saw, what you know in letters. So they're always primary. Now, this one was signed the Colored People of Hamilton. I know. So it was written in 1843. Now, there's a lot of information. I'm going to pull out some of the really important sentences from here. The people of color in the town of Hamilton, we all happily left the United States with hopes that prejudice would not be in this land. I came to live under your government, and if my God would be a helper, to be true to your government. I am sorry to annoy you by allowing this thing to continue, but we are very grieved and we would hope Your Excellency will attend this grievance. If you please, I left property in the United States, and I have now property in Canada. All I want is justice. This column, is it reliable? Does it require further research? Or is it propaganda? So that propaganda means, are you trying to convince someone that what you think is better, that what you think is right? And these last two are opinions. So we can all have different opinions on these ones. The first category for your opinion, does it have a positive, neutral, or negative effect on you? Now you had was it a neutral response that you had given? Neutral? Can you tell us why you felt it was neutral?
Well, it kind of leans towards positive because that last line tells you that people were helping slaves to escape and stuff. But it leans to a negative, putting it in neutral because there was slavery. And slavery is never a good thing, selling people, treating people unfairly, because we're all different, so we should be accepted for our differences. And some people had realized that and decided, let's stop slavery, let's help the slaves.